Hey, Acers. Good to see you again. And I'm glad to be back with you on this wonderful, well, November 27th night. Um, I've made it through my birthday, through Thanksgiving, and we've started unpacking the Christmas stuff. We decided to go for a real tree again this year, so we're gonna have some stuff that's just not quite up yet, and a lot of the ornaments will go up in a little bit. But otherwise, I think we're doing okay so far. Let's see here. Well, for those of you who are new to the channel, this is the official podcast, vlog for the ACE Role Playing Games Club. ACE stands for Achieve, Create, and Entertain. And we meet wherever we are, or at least nearby, to hold a role playing game night once a week at least. And like I said, we meet wherever we are. So we have all sorts of ways of setting these things up, but my job as the president, CEO, whatever of the of the Ace Role Playing Games Club um, group is that I am here to help you set up your own club. That's right, you can have your own club, and it's going to be awesome when you do, because you're going to be able to get together with your friends, and you guys are going to be able to play role-playing games, which is telling a story together as a group. And that is just an awesome opportunity. It's one of the best things that I've ever had happen in my life. And I am so grateful that I've had role-playing games to save my life. Not just from boredom, but from even actual life. So I have to say thank you to role-playing games and my friends that I had as a young teen through my early adulthood that helped me to continue on and have reasons to have fun and to live. And that was my part that I was telling in that story. And now gaming is something slightly different for a lot of things, but at the same time, it's still the same. I still play role playing games because I love telling that story. Now, only recently did I get into being a game master. Next year will actually be my 5-year mark. And I kind of had to crash course into becoming a game master because I'd tried it before and I stank. I was awful. I was just not good at all. But when I started just running for some friends of mine and was running I was running Savage Worlds Deadlands Noir, and it worked. It worked really well. And so I just, part of what I did is I just threw myself into listening to a now defunct podcast. And I always promised myself as I listened to that podcast and as it started to get E ratings for explicit and, meaning that the language was a little bit off. I promised myself that I would try and do something similar for teens in the role playing space, where it could be anybody could come and listen to these podcasts or these videos. They could watch them, they could let their parents see them, and you guys can slowly learn through the videos or by contacting me directly below. You can learn how to become a game master wherever you're at. And also, I will help you to know what to say to the grown-ups that you're going to ask to be your sponsors, because every Ace Role Playing Games Club has at least one adult sponsor, and it meets in a public venue. Now, if you have 2 sponsors, that's even better, because then people can take breaks and go on vacations and get sick and things like that. But if you have at least one sponsor, you can do it in a public venue, like at your friendly local game store, or boys and girls clubs, or after church groups, or after school groups, or wherever. And just as long as it's a place where there's going to be a lot of people, and yeah, you got to learn how to get around the volume, because I mean, right now our ace group is meeting on the same night as a bunch of Magic players, and they're getting really noisy and rocky and rowdy and things like that. But hey, Magic's fun too. But it's so limited. That's why we like role playing games. I mean, I have no problems if you want to play Magic as well, because hey, I played it for many years. I played it for about 22 years. I started in high school and I played clear through. Um, so one of the things that I'm going to give us our GM moment here. And one of the things that I like about game mastering, especially in Savage Worlds, which they're not a sponsor, but it is the system that I most highly recommend for teens to be able to learn how to game with, because it's so versatile and so flexible, and you can tell almost any kind of story you want to tell with it. Anyway, when you get that all set up, Savage Worlds has setting rules and ways of dialing up or down the tones of the game. So if you're going to play something silly, you put in a setting rule like dumb luck. Now, dumb luck is great. When you critically fail, then you roll the dice again, and if you succeed, then it actually will count as a success. Well, if you spend, I think you have to spend a penny. I don't have the rules right up in front of me right now. Actually, I will. Okay, there's the rules. Haha, that's the great thing about computers, isn't it? So let me, dumb luck. I'll read you the text, and then I'll talk about it. Dumb luck allows a player, and this is, like I said, from the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, so you can get your own copy and read along. And I highly recommend you get a copy, especially directly from Pinnacle, because hey, not only do you get the hardback book for $40, which covers all the stuff that a player's guide, a GM's guide, and a monster's manual all cover for the D&D side of things, and it's in one $40 book. And it's hardback, it's great glossy pages, it's really pretty artwork. Get it. It's so great. It's so worth it. Even if you're not going to run it, even if you're just going to run D&D, which is fine. We do not discriminate against D&D players here. We welcome all types. But Savage Worlds Adventure Edition really is, in my opinion, one of the best games that has ever been printed. And they just keep getting better every time. I'm just hoping this one sticks around for a good decade. And fortunately, also all the companions that they're putting out this time around are very much tied together. So anyway, dumb luck. This is a setting rule. Dumb luck allows a player to spend a penny even after a critical failure. The failure still happens in some way, but the character can spend one penny, and only one, for one more roll. The hero still drops her weapon, flubs her taunt, or otherwise fails the attempt. But if the reroll from the bennies is actually successful, it somehow still results in whatever success the new roll provides. A character trying to pick a lock might break the lock on a critical failure, for example, but only after cracking the lock. Or a warrior who fumbles a fighting roll might hit a foe as if he'd thrown the weapon. If the player and the game master should work together to describe the scene in some fun or bizarre way that explains how the mishap ultimately results in success. Now, dumb luck is one of my favorite setting rules, and it applies very well in a toony, cartoony type setting where you're just bumbling and falling over and bad things happen, but the good thing still happens that you needed it to happen. It's great, but it doesn't fit all settings. I mean, if we're going to have a gritty Call of Cthulhu kind of game, we don't want to have dumb luck. If that lockpick breaks in the lock, oh no, then we've really broken the lock, and we are now stuck, and that thing is still coming to get us. And then now we have to find something else to do. There are basically a lot of things like that, and that's why I wanted to kind of cover about how you can turn those dials on and off. I mean, another good example is in my friend Manny Simba's his book Sprawl Runners. Manuel wrote a really cool one, and I highly recommend Sprawl Runners. It's one of the best sellers on Drive-through RPG. Again, these are nobody's sponsoring me here, but but and I probably butchered his last name, so apologies there, buddy. Um, but Manuel Sams, he has created the Sprawl Runners campaign setting for Savage Worlds, and in that setting, you totally can turn it on or off as to whether or not magic exists in that world. If it's not magic, you're just playing pure cyberpunk. If it is magic, then you're playing Shadowrun. And either one of those is fun. Again, welcome to our table. But I'm not going to run either one of those. I'll use Sprawl Runners, and most of the time I actually dial the magic right out. I don't. I never got into Shadowrun, so it's okay. Whatever you bring in or pull out, according to whatever you're running, is a good thing to be able to keep the game rolling. So that's really kind of what I wanted to talk to you about on that one. And I also wanted to mention, obviously we know what time of year this is. It's a time of year that everybody looks forward to. It's the Christmas time. And so some of the things that you can ask for are dice, gift cards on Drive-Thru RPG, or even ask for your copies of different role-playing games. Maybe you might have to do prints from Drive-Thru. I mean, I'm hoping maybe I can get a copy of Titan Effect, which I'll have to say did a better job first of the idea I had for Redacted Psychic Warfare. I'm just going to write a setting for it that puts it in the 1960s and let you play Man from U.N.C.L.E. meets Titan Effect. So that'll be fun. And then I also, let's see, I think I'll try and remember to put links to all these things. So PEG and Sprawl Runners. And Titan Effect. But so yeah, we just finished actually watching kind of our first. Well, just to kind of let you know, my wife comes from Norwegian heritage, and we do Advent every Sunday leading up to Christmas. So the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. Today was first Advent, then next week second Advent, third Advent, fourth Advent. Fourth Advent's always the Sunday right before Christmas, and it's always worth it. Always good times, always fun, great food. I mean, tonight was just salamis and cheese and potatoes. You gotta have potatoes, and just a really good. It was really good stuff, and we watched A Christmas Story. The one with Ralphie and the BB gun. You'll shoot your eye out, and then we watched A Christmas Story Christmas, and that's the official sequel that was made by Peter Billingsley and almost all the original cast, with Julie Haggerty replacing Melinda Dillon, who is 83 now. She was like, I can't do it. So they replaced her with Julie Haggerty. And Julie Haggerty looks like she could be related to Melinda Dillon. I knew her best from What About Bob? But Peter Billingsley was just spot on. The story was so great. I mean, there were times that we were all crying about different elements of storytelling, and that's something that you want as a game master. You want to be able to emotionally involve the players to a point that when they play your game, they get so emotionally wrapped up in it that when a character that is beloved dies at the hands of the nefarious villain, suddenly it's a case of, we're going to get him. We're going to get him, because they're crying about the loss of this, or they're crying because of the good outcomes too. I've been told that when Tracy Sizemore, a good friend of mine, when she runs some of her games, real tears are shed often. And so I look forward to one day playing in one of those games, Tracy. I've played in a couple of years and they're great. Emotionally, I did get wrapped up as the player. I didn't cry, but I did. I have played 2 of your games and you're awesome. And I hope to be able to game master as well as you do someday. But at the same time, I'm also trying to be my own game master. I'm trying to run my own way and develop my own style and abilities. You run your way. Don't look at Matt Mercer or any of those other guys who are great GMs. But don't look at them and say, I want to be just like them. Look at them and say, I think I can do that. I think I can take that element and incorporate it into my game mastering so that my style can improve. That's what we do as game masters. That's how we do it. And yeah, going back to gifts for dice, I do recommend Roll for Initiative. Oh man, I smudged that already. Because they have Roll for Initiative has a really cool has a really cool what's it called? They have a really cool D4. I don't have it here on my desk because it's out my bin in the garage, but it's basically 2 arches superimposed on each other, and it rolls just fine, and it's easy to pick up. I mean, I love my D4s that are tetrahedrons. They were the ones that introduced me to the shape tetrahedron, and I know that the tetrahedron is an incredibly strong physical structure because of that. That there are crystalline structures that grow in tetrahedral structures, and those are cool. Like carbon becomes a diamond, and those natural crystalline structures are tetrahedral. Anyway, Roll for Initiative is pretty good. Trying to think if there's anything else that I would want as a gamer because, well, frankly, I pretty much have everything I want at this point. I did invest in the Savage Worlds Horror Companion and Pine Box Middle School. My friend Tracy, again, big writer on that. Also, want to give a shout out to Tracy and Ron and Veronica Blessing for the latest episode of Savage Interludes. It was great. If you guys want a good podcast to listen to, and I love you guys that you guys have kept it PG-13 or lighter the whole time, and I really compliment you on that. So, as always, I'm grateful for my friends who keep me going, and yeah, I kind of had a bit of a bummer moment earlier today when I found out that my game that has been every other Sunday was canceled, and it's going to stay canceled through the end of the year. But that's okay, because that's another thing that I just want to throw in there. When you game, you're working with real people, and sometimes real life intervenes. Sometimes wives get sick, children get cancer, feelings get hurt, schedules change, and sometimes the people you started on that journey with aren't going to finish that journey with you. And it's okay, because we don't actually game for the game's sake. We game for each other. And that's why we here at ACE are gaming for good. So feel free to reach out to me with any questions or advice requests or anything like that, or to schedule some time with me so I can start teaching you how to be a game master. And we can get you your club set up wherever you are. Until then, this is Mason Emerson for Ace Role Playing Games, telling you that I love you and I'm grateful that you're here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good night.